Hello and welcome. Today we're going to create a new project to explain how to do continuous integration. For this, we're going to need to use GitHub as a system to save our code, and you will need to have installed Git for pushing your code, Visual Studio Code to edit anything that you need. You can use any other editor, and we're going to be writing things in Node.js, but it will be simple to use any other language. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be using this material. So let's start. We're going to need to create a new repository. How do we do this on GitHub? Well, you just need to click on the symbol, create a new repository, and then you will have to give it a name. I'm going to call it Continuous uh, Delivery Bootcamp. It's going to be public, so anybody can use it, but you could make it private. You can give it a description, add a README file, like we're going to be using Node. You're going to add a git ignore. This is just to not upload certain files that don't make sense on your continuous integration system. Uh, and last but not least, give it a license. In this case, for me, I like things to be modifiable and useful for everybody, so I use the MIT license. But if it's a private repository, that doesn't make sense. If it's a public repository, it's up to you. So now you can actually create this repository, and we have a starting point for everything. Now you need to get this code into your computer. For this, you can use this button, and there's multiple options. You can actually use HTTPS, you can use SSH protocol, or using the GitHub CLI. You can also create a virtual machine, but that's not the case. Uh, I normally use SSH. It's basically more secure, or but the process will be exactly the same for any of this. So you just need to copy this URL and go to your editor. In my case, Visual Studio Code, and you just need with Git to actually do a clone of your repository, and this will bring all the files that you can find here into your machine to the folder that is continuously delivered. And if you do ls, now you can see exactly the same files that you can see here. You cannot see the git ignore because you are not showing all, so there it is. Let's now open our project, and let's with that create a new file. For this, we just need to open this new folder. So in my case, it's going to be on workspace, Continuous Delivery Bootcamp, and this will open my project. Okay, so now we have the files that we saw before, but now we want to create this as a project itself. To create a new project, you need to open a terminal. So let's do that. When you have an open terminal, as we are going to use in Node, you just need to do npm init. This will initialize a new repository, a new npm package. So let's say that it's the name. Let's use everything as default. It's going to have an entry point called index, no commands, author, and let's just hit yes. For this, now we have a package JSON. We say that there's a main file that doesn't exist. Well, let's say that it's index.js. Okay, so now we have an initial state where we have a node project. And let's do here an npm start, and this does node dot. Node dot just normally starts Node.js and takes the main file as the entry point. So now if we say that we're doing a console.log here with a hello world, and when we do npm start on our folder, we have hello world on the command line. So the issue now is that these files are not in our control system. So if anything happens to our computer, they will be lost. So you can see those new files are not here. We want to actually do small commits because small commits will make sure that we lose not almost any code at all. So for this, we want to do very incremental things to actually not lose anything that is actually on our computer. So how do we do this? Git is the solution for this. So now we have the index.js and the package.json. So if you do a git status, you can see that these files are actually on track. How do we track them? We need to add those files uh, to our git. So it's actually saying you here to do a git add. So we can do git add with index.js, and if we do a git status, oops, git add yes, because before did gap, not git. So actually do a git status. Now I see the index.js file. But normally when you have on track files, you want to add them all. So let's do a git add dot, and this adds everything that is on this folder. So if I do a git status, now I have both files there. The next step is to actually get these files to the server. So this is actually a git commit. You normally give a message to it, so you can do a -m and actually write a message for it. So let's say my initial project commit. Okay, now this is locally on our Git. If we go again to the website, nothing has changed. There's nothing here. So what is missing actually? We need to push our code. So if you do a git push, this will take the code from your machine into the source control, and now it should be here. You should see the package JSON, and you should see the index.js. Your code will not be lost anymore. So let's recap what we learned in this introduction. We have a repository that is on the server from GitHub. We have certain tools like Git that allow us to create commits and allow us to save our code continuously. We have an editor that allows us to write the code, and we have a system that allows us to execute the code. We've also learned that we want to do small incremental things. We'll see later on how do we do this in a real case scenario. Thank you for watching, and let's see us in the next chapter.